Hey guys, so big news today because finally I started my own brand or product line or however you want to call it. This is it, this is the logo and that's how it's gonna call it. It's called Rekon FPV and it's specifically a brand for everything that is long range. So I'm going to start off with all these long range, light long range quads and then possibly in the future move into, classical 7-inch drones. But the theme and sort of the scope of this brand is going to be long-range quads. So this is the URL. This is still in finalization. Will go online soon, but rekonfpv.com is going to be it. So that's the first announcement for today, and that's already pretty cool. So let's look at what's inside this box because that's also pretty exciting. Let's open it up and let's check it out. So here it is. The first product that's going to be released under the Rekon FPV brand is this year, the Rekon 5. Obviously, this is the mini long range basically, so most of you that have been following my channel are going to recognize this. Another thing that you're quickly going to recognize is that this is a collaboration with HGLRC. I think that's, some people might make bit more out of a secret out of it and try to hide who's actually behind the brand. I don't think that really makes much sense. I mean, I'm an engineer. I don't care that much about all the marketing BS. So for me, why make a big secret out of it? So most of the stuff on here is still HGLRC branded, and obviously it makes absolute sense to partner up with a company that is bigger and that has been in the game for a long time, like HGLRC, because they have all the logistics, they have the contact to the suppliers, they have the customer service, the warehouses, and everything. So makes absolute sense, and they made a great job here in supporting me in assembling this product, and all these sort of electronics they already had in stock, the motors, the stack, the ESC, and so on, are really top notch. So that's absolutely great here. It was really great to work with HGLRC on this. So why the mini long range? Now obviously I had to start somewhere, and I think this is pretty much perfect for that at the moment because of course there's the micro long range class 2, the 4-inch ones, but I mean I already did something, made a product in segment with the Flybo Explorer. Many other companies have moved in since, so this market is sort of saturated, so I think it absolutely makes sense to make the next move here in the 5-inch light long range class. And on top of that, this is really pretty much one of my favorite quads because this 5-inch class here with the 2004 motors, overall very light, around 220 grams, with a Vista, is extremely versatile. So this is really a quad you can do basically anything with. You can throw any battery at it. Everything just works, whatever you do with it. So it can cruise really noticeably faster than a 4-inch. It's more freestyle capable, so you can use this for light freestyle, of course. I mean, it's a light frame, you cannot bash this on the bando, but it's 100% freestyle capable. It's it's got this fast cruising ability, and one of the really main advantages is, of course, it's got larger 5-inch discs, so it can carry quite a lot of weight. You can throw a regular sized GoPro on here, you can throw a naked GoPro on here, you can use small batteries, 550, 6S for example, up to 1300 milliamp hour 6S, that's what I use, carries it without any problem, and it also works great on 4S lithium ion packs. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the frame because a few things have been updated. So as you can see, it does have a vertical immortal T-mount. Vertical is obviously optimal because you're rarely or almost never gonna fly in a way that the antenna points towards you, which can happen if you just mount it on an arm or below here. You might have the antenna pointing towards you, which is always very bad for your RSSI. So vertical antenna, but of course a vertical antenna always has a downside, which is, if you put down your quad, it starts to bend. If you put it in a backpack, it's super annoying. So this one is just foldable. That's an idea that basically came from Alexandre Arvand, the developer of the Pickle, absolute genius frame designer. And well, I saw that he had this idea of a foldable mount for his Mod L frame, and basically his is working a bit differently, but nevertheless, I think these idea really should be credited to him. Of course, I mean, I asked him for permission for using this, and I think it's really cool because it really allows you to have both transportability and an ideal antenna placement. Small updates on the frame. Now this here has a new buzzer mount, so buzzer sits here. This is actually a pretty cool buzzer because it has a button here that is easy to reach. So independent buzzer in a nice robust mount. The GPS mount has been updated to match the HDLRC GPS, and there's a new mount here for the antenna. This one will also allow you to use FreeSky or standards 2.4 gigahertz antennas. But apart from that, this is really more or less the absolute original mini long range frame. But let me, for those who don't know the mini long range frame, quickly give you an introduction about the most interesting features of this frame. So first thing you're maybe gonna notice is it's a dead cat design, so arms are slightly moved back to get them out of your video feed. So, and here the most important thing is, I would say, it's a mild dead cat design, so it's not very extreme. You're still gonna have a bit of props in your FPV feeds or in your goggles here. With this camera, you're gonna see the tips of your props, but you're not gonna have any props in your HD video if you have a GoPro on here. That is important because having an extreme dead cat design that would move the props also out of the FPV feed does always mean that it messes with flight characteristics. Having extreme dead cat designs does really mess with flight characteristics. So you want to have, as much dead cat as necessary and as little as sort of possible without messing up your HD feed. So I think having a bit of props in your FPV feed isn't gonna make it less immersive or anything. You hardly notice it. While still having enough dead cat to keep the props out of the HD feed of any camera you're gonna put on here. So the second thing you might notice about this frame is it's got a pretty special arm construction. So these are single piece arms. This is a 90-degree angle here, so these arms are still cut along the weave of the carbon fiber because this perfect 90-degree angle. They have some optional braces here to stiffen them up. You can also remove these. These aren't fully necessary, but they help in crashes and making this stiff. And obviously, I mean, these arms are mounted with these aluminum bolts here. These are usually something used on more or less high-end bicycles. And they are quite nice because you can apply a ton of torque here on the arms to fix them. They look quite nice, and the main advantage is that you can sort of build a stiff center section here with these. So the arms are touching here, so there's a stiff center section. Everything is really rigid, and that allows me to use very light M2 hardware on the rest of the frame. So since this is decoupled from most of the forces here, this is all just very light M2 stuff. So that's the main reason of having these aluminum bolts here for the third feature of this frame is basically the front. So the front is very critical on dead cat frames because, I mean, obviously, you're not gonna crash. You're not always gonna crash on the motors as you usually do on a sort of regular X frame, but you're prone to crash on the front here. So special care needs to be put into the front. So this is why this is a TPU 3D print, so flexible material. And as you see, this is an absolute gorgeous print quality here. But main purpose of this 3D printed part here is that if you crash on your camera here on the front, this can flex. This will absorb the energy and make sure that sort of the crash energy is absorbed and doesn't go directly into the frame. After this, it has flexed for something like a bit more than 5 millimeters. It will hit carbon here to basically stop everything, but this should avoid damaging the camera here and damaging the frame if you crash on the front. Another nice thing about this TPU part is that it was easy to integrate a GoPro mount. So as you can see, this does have a standard GoPro mount here, so you can put any GoPro on there, a standard GoPro cage, and it does come with this mount here, so you can also use a naked GoPro. So most of the naked GoPro cases on the market will perfectly fit in this mount here. That does come in the box, it's included. So here we go. These are the most important features basically of this frame. So this Rekon 5 is going to come in 4 different versions basically. So there will be analog and digital and 4S and 6S. So the 6S version, which is what I prefer, will come with these 2004 HTLRC motors. Absolutely great motors. Let me zoom in for a second. So 24, great size for this type of quad. Absolutely gorgeous manufacturing quality. And I mean, I don't know, I think HTLRC doesn't really like me telling this to everybody, but these are made by RC & Power, which is in my opinion the best motor supplier there is. This also means they are quite considerably more expensive than the other suppliers, but I mean, if you look at this manufacturing quality, this is just absolutely outstanding. Now, for the moment, in the first few batches, these are gonna come in the HTLRC colors and the HTLRC branding, but they will soon be updated to being red and Rekon FPV branded, but physically the motors are going to stay the same. So on the 4S version, this is going to be, at least for the first batch, the motor that is going to be equipped the green and gray HTLRC 2004 3000 kV. So this means this is sort of more of a, you know, higher end of the kV range motor for 4S, like 5-inch, but still performs pretty well. And I mean, honestly, I thought it was reasonable to release this first on the 3000 kV version, because there is going to be a Rekon FPV branded 2600 kV version soon, but due to Chinese holidays and usually you know, mainly logistic reasons, it's gonna take a few months for it to be available. So for now, this is going to have 3000 kV motors, so that there is a reasonable 4S option. And I think, I mean, this motor does look absolutely great, but if you're concerned about efficiency a lot, then you might want to wait for the 2600 kV motor to come out. If you're looking for more power, then 3000 is going to work great for you. So now, electronics, what's in here? So basically this thing is fully specced to the max, more than you basically need. It's got an F7, so more UARTs than you'll ever need, more processing power, so really future-proof. 20x20 F7, and the ESC is a, by the way, this is still an M2 version here. The production version has M3 mounting holes, but this is also a BL-Heli 32. I think it's a 45 amps or 35 amps 6S ESC, so way more than you need on such a light quad, so really fully covered also with a high performance ESC that is more than up to the task of handling basically any battery any weight you throw at this quad. So last two things to talk about, I guess, are flight performance and prices. So the Vista version, the most expensive one, doesn't matter whether it's 4S or 6S, will come in at around $335. So very reasonably priced for what this is, a 5-inch with really high-end motors, high-end electronics, F7, really powerful ESC and everything, Caddx Vista unit, GPS and so on. So I think these prices are really quite competitive. The analog version is gonna come in at only $225 US, if I remember correctly. So also this is going to then feature the same high-end electronics with a, I think 600 or 800 milliwatt VTX. So, and flight performance. So we talked about money, let's talk about performance. Flight performance is, in my opinion, absolutely great. So this thing has a new tune, comes right out of the box with a special tune, which is quite good. As good as it gets basically for these light 5-inch quads. No wobbles nor nothing. When I tested this, you might get a bit different results if you use a 4S lithium ion on the 6S motors, which tends to need a different tune. I mean, but that's clearly because it does come in a 6S tune. But overall flight performance I had with this final production model is absolutely great. So what you see here is some DVR. very sorry for not too spectacular flying, but I couldn't feel my hands anymore at this point. They were completely numb, but overall performed absolutely great. So it shouldn't be any issue in this regard. This is really, you can take this out of the box and it will perform absolutely fantastic. Okay, so basically, I really hope this fulfills the expectations of everybody that has been asking for a BNF mini long range. Obviously, this will also come in as a frame kit, but will be available soon. 19th of January, probably in the Rekon FPV online shop, on the HGLRC online shop, and the usual resellers. This will really be available through all regular channels. Alright guys, hope you found this interesting and useful, and of course, don't forget to subscribe and get your Rekon 5.5-inch long range quad.